Hi there, my name is Clark and I'm a published author of 2 books, and I am going to tell you how to get over writer's block. Is it all in your head? Yes, but are there ways to get over it? Absolutely. So like I said, I have published 2 books, The Resemblance and All Junkies Float, both mystery novels. I have experienced a lot of writer's block in my day. I am coming from a novel writing background, so if this is something that you're having writer's block with, like an essay or something academic, I do feel like this advice can still help you, but just know that my background comes from novel writing. Writer's block, is it all in your head? Yes, absolutely. Some people say that writer's block does not exist. Well, I guess as a formal physical block, it does not exist, but it definitely is a mental block that a lot of people experience when they are trying to write, no matter what type of writing that it is. I'm going to give you guys a couple of things that maybe you can try to help you. So number 1, accept that you are having a problem. Before you even try to tackle the writer's block, accept that there is a problem that is preventing you from writing. After you accept that you have a problem, you need to figure out, where is this problem stemming from? So is this stemming from an issue within my outline, that I haven't put enough details in my outline that I don't know where to go with this? Or is this coming from an overall problem with the plot? Is the plot not working because of one reason or another that's preventing me from moving forward? Or maybe it's a character problem. Maybe you're having an issue with how would this character react in this specific situation and not able to quite get the words out. But you have to accept that you are having a problem before you can actually tackle it. And the fact that you are here and watching this video probably means that you've already accomplished this first step. So you can't sustain a novel, most of the time, I should say, you can't sustain a full novel on just excitement of writing. So you need to, at some point, take a step back and reflect and accept, okay, where did I go wrong? Was it because I didn't outline at all? And now I don't know where to go, which I kind of talked about in my last video, but outlining for me has been the essential key to actually being able to finish a novel. If you're not outlining, maybe consider trying it. Number 2, just write, okay? And we hear this advice all the time. It depends on the type of writer that you are. If you are experiencing writer's block, the easy way to get through it is just to write something. Even if it's not within the project that you're stuck on, try a different story. Alternatively, jump ahead to an exciting chapter, so a chapter that you've been really excited to write about, but you're not quite there yet in the story. Try writing it. It might actually help your brain kind of restart and think about, okay, this is what I need in my previous chapters to get to this exciting climax. You could also go back and you could rewrite a scene. So you could go back to your beginning of your book, beginning of your project, and you could write it again. Just open a new document with your old document next to it and rewrite the whole thing. This can just help re-spark that writing drive and the writing flow, which can be really difficult to get when we're so in our heads. Or just write something completely different. I'm a big fan of Reddit. I use Reddit a lot. Try using our writing prompts to get your imagination kind of running again, and try writing something completely different. Try writing in a genre that you've never written before. Just try to get something on paper or in a document to break through that initial block. My 3rd tip for getting over writer's block is to read. And writers get this all the time. If you're not reading, how do you expect to be a good writer? Because you don't know what your market wants. And that would be specifically for someone who is writing on spec, which means writing to publish, okay? Which I would say most of the people who would come to a video like this are probably writing on spec. So read in the same genre that you're writing. So if you write sci-fi, read sci-fi. If you write fantasy, read fantasy. If you write literary fiction, read literary fiction. That way you can see, what have other writers done? How have they approached their story, their characterization? Identify strategies that you like within that writing, Or identify strategies that you don't like. So they did this with their character, I really didn't like that development. That's okay. Take a note of it, right? It's important to learn how to read like a writer. And if you want to read for fun and you enjoy kind of just reading casually, that's fine. This is kind of a little bit of a different process when you're reading for writing, and that you start to get to the point where you're able to identify certain strategies that these writers used to get this story out. And at that point, you can start to think about, okay, what do I like and what do I not like about this? How can I implement this into my story? Also, when you read, you're going to find ideas. That's one of the most valuable things about reading, is that you find other ideas and other ways to approach characters and story. If you are not reading as a writer, you are doing yourself a disservice. Please read. You'll be amazed at what it can do. Read, read, read. My fourth tip is music, and this is a huge one for me. This really, really helps my brain get going, because I really think maybe I'm one of those auditory learner people. Do you have a soundtrack for your novel, or do you attribute some type of OST or soundtrack with your work? I think there are so many good inspiring OSTs and soundtracks out there. I actually have made a playlist, and if you go to my YouTube channel, I have a playlist called Writing. Please feel free to check it out and listen to it. But some of my personal favorites are Interstellar, has a great soundtrack. Anything by Hans Zimmer is great. Moon, a recently discovered one that I really, really like. Mr. Robot for sci-fi. I love Dark Piano for mysteries and horror. I love the Haunting of Hill House soundtrack. There's a very specific song. It's like the hour-long Haunting of Hill House. And I can't remember the name of the song, but it's at 18 minutes. I've listened to that soundtrack so many times that I know exactly where the songs are in it that I like. And that's because I always listen to music when I write. So now my brain has kind of made an association. Okay, so I turn on this soundtrack. I'm like, oh, my brain's like, it's writing time. So start listening to music that you find inspiring, and that kind of starts to get that imagination going. And then if you start writing at that same time, your brain is going to start to make those connections with music time is writing time. When I listen to Interstellar, I write my book. Boop, bop, bop. One step, two step. Number 5, think about your environment. So maybe you're having writer's block because you don't have a proper place to write, or because you haven't designated a spot in your home where you can write. Now, this does not work for everybody. Not everybody has the privilege of having an office in their home. But you need to take one specific spot in your house, whether that be a chair at your dining room table, or a spot on your couch, or on your porch, and that is your writing spot. And again, this comes down to the same thing with music, and that your brain makes associations. Think about your little monkey brain here, right? Let's make connections. When you sit down in that spot, when you sit down at your dining room table or in your couch, that's your writing spot. That's where you write. What do you do in that spot? You write. You only write in that spot. You do not sit in that spot. You do not hang out in that spot unless you are writing. That is your writing spot. It is designated for that. And I also talked about this a little bit in my last video, and that you should also designate an hour block or a time in which you'll get your writing done. If you're an obsessive outliner, and this is not me, but I have talked to a couple of other writers that do experience this, where they can't get out of the stage of outlining before they actually sit down and start writing. One thing that you might want to do, and this is also about your environment, create a spot for writing and a spot for outlining. So one of your chairs in your dining room table is for writing, and your other chair is for outlining. And that can really help with breaking those two things apart and really focusing on the writing aspect when you need to actually focus on the writing aspect. You need to step out of the outline sometimes. I don't personally really experience that. My outlines are very basic, but I do know that some people that go really extensive into world building get really stuck in their outlines. So set your spots and your times for outlining, set your spots and your times for writing, as they are two different processes. Number 6, and this is my last point, is set a deadline. And this can be really hard out there for our notorious procrastinators. Trust me, I've been there. Try using some extrinsic motivation. So you tell yourself that, okay, this Friday, October the 2nd, I am going to read this chapter out loud. Meaning, I have to have this chapter finished by October 2nd. So you could try reading that chapter to someone else, or recording it if you don't have anyone to read it to. Set a deadline when it has to be done for, and give yourself some type of award for that. So either reading it to someone, or posting it somewhere online, or posting it on Reddit, or whichever you want to do. But that's just an extrinsic motivation that can help with that deadline. Because if you set a deadline and there's no consequences, there's no positive reinforcement, it's going to be difficult for you to hold to that deadline. But just remind yourself of it. Put a reminder in your phone, put it on your calendar. This is like a work deadline. Treat it like a work deadline. What I want you guys to do, if you're experiencing writer's block, post your deadline in the comments. In the comments, I want you to put, I am stuck on blank. I am having this problem because blank. I will break through my writer's block by blank. Okay? So very simple, couple of sentences to write out. I am stuck on blank. I am having this problem because blank. I will break through my writer's block by blank. That's it. If you write just that little amount, you're going to start thinking about the strategies to break through that writer's block. And I am confident that you will be able to break through it. It is all in your head. It's true. It is all in your head. It is 100% a mental block. But there are so many things that you can do to try and get over it that are more than just write. You can really trick your brain into figuring out how to break through these things. And it's not easy. You can be stuck in writer's block for a long time, but please just be kind to yourself. It takes time to get good at these things and to establish new habits and new goals. So that's it for today. I hope that this was helpful. If you want to support me, you can purchase my books on Amazon, The Resemblance and All Junkies Float. You can also get All Junkies Float on Barnes & Noble. You can find me on my website, which is just my name, clarkewainicka.com, ClarkeWainikka, 2 N's, 2 K's. 2 I's, 2 K's, 2 A's. I don't know how to freaking spell my own last name. WAINIKKA. Jesus. Okay, that means that I've been talking for too long, because don't remember how to spell my name. 2 I's, 2 K's, also 2 A's. But usually it's 2 I's, 2 K's that people figure it out. Okay, I'm rambling. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit that bell, whatever you want to turn it on. Facebook, Twitter, all down there in the description. You can do it. Anyone can write a book. You are capable. Get out there and just do it. You got this.